Hi guys, tonight we are talking about what does sitting do to our bodies? And the reason we talk about this is because it's actually really important. It can affect our bodies hugely, and if we're aware of it, there's something we can do about it. So I read stats like the average westernized person or the average person in New Zealand spends 8 to 10 hours a day sitting, some even more. And I think of some of my family members and friends who will spend an hour driving to work, 8 hours sitting at work, and they'll sit at breakfast, sit at lunch, sit at dinner, and then an hour or so driving home. And that's a lot of sitting. And unfortunately, our bodies are still the same bodies that, hi Julie, still the same bodies we had 10,000 years ago. And we were kind of made to squat around our campfires in case we needed to run from something. And sitting actually really challenges our bodies. So if we are going to sit, we need to be really aware of what we're doing. So I'm Susie from Sooner, and I have been looking after bodies for over 20 years now. And I'm really excited about the subject because there's some really basic changes you can make that you will notice the change in your health and in your body as well. So it's really, it's a fun topic, and there's some stuff that we can do for you too. Now, what I want to talk about is, first of all, what does sitting do to our bodies? And secondary, what can we do about that? Okay, so here are the biggies that happen to our bodies when we sit a lot. First of all, our hip flexors get shortened. So these are the muscles at the top of the hip down here. And when we sit down, they get shortened, because if we were standing, they'd be nice and long. So if you've ever had a car trip where you're driving down to the mountain and you get out and you stand up and you go, oh, wow, that's tight, and your butt's sticking out the back because the hip flexors have reflexively shortened while you are sitting. And that's just a car trip. That's not all you work every day. We're also leaning forward, shoulders forward, all that sort of thing. So the hip flexor shortens, and the other thing that happens is around the back here, the lower back, the butt, and the hamstrings are all stretched and lengthened all day. So they're kind of switched off. Now, when this happens, this really changes our posture. So our standing posture, instead of being in a nice elongated line, turns into one where the head is forward, the abs are sticking out, or the tummy's sticking out, and the butt is sticking out the back. And this is just not how our muscles were made to hold our skeleton. It's not comfortable, and it leads to a lot of problems. So one of the biggest issues we come across, that is the majority of people with back pain, we can fix with posture, understanding what's happening with their posture, teach someone their correct posture, and then strengthen the muscles that need to be strengthened in that posture. And we can get rid of most back pain really quite succinctly. So back pain's an issue, hamstring issues, especially for runners. If you go for runs or walks, and we get a lot of runners with plantar fascia issues in the foot, with calf issues, with hamstring issues, with Achilles issues. And this is a really big problem, because if your pelvis is tilted forward, and so the hamstrings and glutes can't really function as they were supposed to, you're always going to feel tight through there, and you're going to stretch them. Whereas in reality, they're taut. They're not tight, and they actually become really weak. So we have a whole generation of people overstretching their glutes and their hamstrings, when what they really need is some strength and some postural alignment. Knee hyperextension. So if you are sitting on the floor with your legs out long, and you pull your feet back and the backs of your knees push down onto the floor and your heels pop up off the floor, what it means is the knees are hyperextended. So they're pushed back towards the back of the body further than they should be. And this leaves us open for knee weaknesses, and it also really challenges our posture again, because posture is built from the base up. So how we stand on our feet and how our hamstrings and our butt works determines whether we can work our abs and the rest of our muscles as well. Hi Nerida, love you. Oh, hi guys, lovely. Oh yeah, awesome. All right, so the other one is abs being switched off. So if my pelvis is tilted forward because I've been sitting a lot, my abs aren't actually going to work. Sitting actually works your back. Now, the abs at the front and the back at the back are what's called a muscular pair. I have a bicep and a tricep. Only one works at a time. I've got to push and I've got to pull. All right? And if they both fire at the same time, I've got problems. I won't go anywhere. So your abs and your back are the same type of muscular pair. If your back's working all day by sitting, and a lot of people feel that during their days, and if you feel it in your neck, it actually means that your back has worked for so long and so hard that it's locked itself up. And you'll find that if you bend over, it probably won't bend a lot with you. And so the next joint up's taking it, and that's the neck and shoulders. So if we have neck and shoulder tension, generally, and again, 99% of the time, that has come from the lower back not being functional as well. So if our abs are switched off, I've sometimes had clients walk in, and I remember years ago, I had a lovely man walk in, and he said, oh, I just want to get rid of my bare belly. And he had a huge forward tilt on the pelvis. So within 5 minutes, I had him in his correct posture, and I said, look, side on in the mirror, pull your pubic bone to your belly button to spine. And he looked in the mirror and went, oh my goodness, my bare gut's gone. Now, he didn't actually have a bare gut. He just had a huge tilt in the pelvis. And that huge tilt made his back sore and just let his tummy hang out. As soon as he knew how to hold it, I believe he didn't come back again for another year because he was so happy at that miracle we did in about 10 minutes. So it doesn't take a lot to actually make the changes, but you know, if you're not getting changes in your body or you're maintaining pain, doesn't matter what you do, you've got to understand the posture and your function as well. Okay, so abs switched off, not a fun thing because that challenges a lot of stuff in our bodies. Weight around the butt and thighs. We often get clients in who say, I just, no matter what I do, I can't shift the weight around here. I'm doing leg work at the gym and I'm walking and I'm running. Now, if you have that forward tilt in your pelvis, and so your back's working, your abs are not. The front of your legs are working, the back of your legs and butt are not, okay? If we have that working, everything, you'll start feeling all the muscles working. If we're in our incorrect posture, doesn't matter how much you run or walk, these things aren't going to change. So sometimes what the body's doing is it's actually just got lax muscle that you don't know how to work. So if you're walking a lot or running a lot and you're only feeling the front of the legs and you're never feeling the bum and you're never feeling the back of the legs, then you're going to need to change that pelvic posture and have a look at how much sitting you're doing also. So reducing organ function. This is actually a big thing. So it's been really popular for the past few years. Everyone's into the gut and the microbiota, which are all really important things to understand as well. However, you can be feeding yourself the best whole organic food that you can and chewing your food till it's liquefied and doing all that great stuff. If you're sitting all the time, it's going to actually challenge how you digest and process and eliminate foods. We actually have a lot of valves down here, like our valve of Houston or our ileocecal valve, and they govern how things move through the large intestine, and these are actually driven by that movement, a cross-floor movement of walking, opposite arm, opposite leg moves. So it's really important to understand that if you have gut issues, you feel bloated after food, and again, that can just be diet, let's be honest about that, but if your diet is great and you've still got some issues happening in the gut, that really can be a product of sitting because we need some of the abdominals to drive the gut. The gut's driven by our muscles. If it's just your low back tight all the time, we're not going to get the same drivers or the same mechanism functioning. The other one is lungs. We come across this a lot. People with asthma. Now, in almost 20 years at Suna and Takapuna, we've never had a single person come in with asthma that has done regular sessions that has still had asthma within 6 months. And we have had clients who have had such severe asthma that they are taking an inhaler, 10, 20 times a day for this and finding exercise really challenging. When you correct posture, and you make people aware of that posture, and we teach correct breathing function as well through the diaphragm, that changes everything. Okay, so if you do have asthma, if you have breathing difficulties, if you feel you can't get a big breath, if you're a mouth breather, all of these things can actually be exacerbated by sitting. So that can be a really big challenge for us. So what if you do have to sit? What if at the moment you have to sit for an hour on your way to work in the car? Well, there's some things you can do about that. And I'm not just saying, hey, everyone needs to walk and stand on the bus and work our obliques and stuff like that. That's not necessary at all. Ideally, we're not sitting for 40 years. But while we're still doing what we're doing and while we still need to make our money and serve the people we serve, there are things we can do. For example, posture cushion. Now, even though it doesn't change the fact that you're sitting, it's like an inflatable frisbee, okay? It's another version of a Swiss ball, really. What it does is it causes a softer, unstable surface for you to sit on. And that gives you more mobility in the lower spine, which improves the movement of all the fluid up and down, the cerebral spinal fluid up and down the back. And that will help us not overwork the low back. It also helps us activate the abs, okay, especially those lower obliques a little bit. If you are in your car, something that I find really helpful is lean forward, and you can do the same in your desk seat as well. Lean forward, wiggle your butt right into the back, and then sit up. And so that the chair is supporting the low back. So have the chair upright enough to support the low back. And pressure on that back actually switches off, like massage. So pressure on tension releases that tension. So putting some pressure into that sacral spine, that low back at the back of your pelvis, can really make quite a big difference for your comfort as well. When I'm driving, I will often be free of my back seat. So I sit a tiny bit forward of my back seat, and as I drive, I have my legs nice and evenly balanced, not one up, not twisting my pelvis. As I drive, I have my legs externally rotated a little bit so I can feel my butt while I'm sitting, and I really try and stay upright, and I can feel as I'm turning my obliques working. So I'm actually getting some ab work while I'm driving. How cool is that? Sitting down abs, very choice. What can you do if you work at a desk? Well, posture cushions are good, but even better than that, and it's great that people are now getting standing desks, but sometimes that's very fatiguing, especially if you're really concentrating, because remember, the brain takes tons of energy, more than you need for running. So if you're doing really thinky work and you're standing as well, it might be great to be able to stand, then sit, stand, then sit. If you are sitting a lot, stand up every half an hour and walk around the office once. And when you walk, really plant your heel toe, pull that foot back, see if you can get the bum and the back of the legs working. The other thing you can do is you can get a Swiss ball. How cool are these? So our Swiss ball, if we were to sit on a Swiss ball, we need one big enough that we can't sit on top and slouch. You want to sit very slightly forward on a Swiss ball. So if I was to draw it here, not the best drawing ever, we're not directly on the top, we want it big enough. So from my height, I do a 65 centimetre ball. Most people will be looking at 55 centimetres or 65 centimetres high, and we have a bunch of balls for you to try here as well. So it's always sitting slightly towards the front, and what you'll notice sitting on that, because we don't have seats in our office here, we only have Swiss balls, and when someone new comes along, it takes them a little minute to get used to that Swiss ball, and you feel the inner thighs, and you feel the pelvic floor, and you feel the low abs working. And that's just excellent, because you're sitting and you're getting the kind of work that you might get from stabilizing standing. The Swiss ball is obviously a round surface, so it moves, and that's just much more like real life. You know, life is about movement. Swiss balls move, so why not sit on one? You'd be surprised where you can fit them. In your house, you can sit at the table, you can watch TV on them. If you get really good, you could kneel on them while you're watching TV and get a really great stability workout. So much you can do with them. So if we are working a lot, standing desk, getting up every now and then, just being aware of it, that's all it takes. You don't have to have a standing desk. Sitting on a Swiss ball, sitting on a posture cushion. The other thing you could do is maybe some squats. So if you stood by your desk and opened your feet apart and just slowly bent your knees going down into a squat. And when you're down there, you need to really open your knees out so the knees point over your toes. And if you move your weight back to your heels, you'll suddenly feel the bum and the back of the legs working. And you could either squat up and down a little there, feeling that nice butt and back of the leg feeling, or you can just rock back and forward a little bit to be aware of those muscles. And that can make a really huge difference. If you're not switching them on at all day, obviously things are going to degrade a lot faster in the spine. If you just have a little bit of consciousness around them, set an alarm once an hour, that can make a really, really big difference. Now, what else can we do? How about TV? TV is another place, or Netflix, or whatever we do these days. It's another place. If you were reading on your phone or something at night, or reading a book or your Kindle, how about try some tummy time like we do for babies? So lie on your tummy, put your hands forward. Being in that extended position is actually the opposite of our sitting position. So to do that morning and night for even 5 minutes is actually going to make a difference. It doesn't take a lot to make a difference. I find a lot of people that come in, they just want some help, and they're like, it's too big an issue, and there's so much information. You just got to make a start with one thing. And all of these things we've talked about will make a really big difference really quickly. And that's what we're looking for. It's not hard. You just got to start somewhere and know where to start. All right, so we have 2 things going on at the moment. Number 1, we have a deal on our rehab sessions because we like people to be able to experience what we do, and we're really good at doing it. And so our rehab session that's normally over $85, we are doing for $30 at the moment. And you can just go online to soonerpilates.co.nz, or you can give us a call, 489-1987, and you're welcome to book a rehab session with us. So it's 45 minutes to an hour. We allow a little more time. And what we'll do is we can give you a full postural analysis. We'll talk through any injuries and issues you have, and more importantly, what your goals are. And then we'll show you how you can get to those goals. And it won't all just be stuff with us. There's stuff that you can do at home too, obviously, and in your day, as well as taking on board everything we've talked about. The other thing we have is this Saturday the 6th, we have an open day. So we have 2 sessions, 1:30 and 2:45 on Saturday, and we will be taking you through postural principles. So where is your posture now, and where should your posture ideally be? And we're going to take you through a class to show you what you're capable of, and also, you know, what we can do for you and what we have to offer you. So if you're interested, you're welcome to just drop us a line here. You're welcome to contact us on email. But most of all, just take one thing tonight: sitting on a Swiss ball, getting up and walking around your desk, squatting, sitting on a posture cushion, not using the back seat super hard in your car. All of these things are going to help you. Hey, thank you so much for watching this. Always really grateful to be able to share all the things we have learned over the years. And I look forward to having a chat next time. I think a few weeks away, we are going to be talking about why you might not be shifting weight, why your body might not be changing, even though you're exercising and eating this and doing this. There's some really basic reasons why. So stay tuned. Thanks so much, guys.